Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. My name is Radhika. I'm the Public Information Officer for the County of Lake and Lake County OES. Our first speaker today is the Lake County Supervisor of District 5, Brock Brown.
Good afternoon. As you'll hear in a little bit from Chief Smith about the condition and containment of the fire, you'll see that we're transitioning from that phase into the recovery phase of the Valley Fire. We have a long road ahead of us. And we're told last night by Cal Recycle that they hope to complete debris removal as soon as Christmas. Some that might be a ways off, but it's actually pretty quick given that the scope of the damage has been done. They're hoping it to be longer, but it's going to require a lot of patience and get through this recovery. The county is committed to make this recovery process a community event. The state of California and FEMA are here in Lake County to help, but we're going to make sure the recovery is done the way that Lake County needs it to be done. And so far, every indication has been given that FEMA and LOS is here to help us make sure that that's happening. I'm going to make sure that the community is involved. Last night a community meeting was held in Middletown to help fire survivors start learning about rebuilding. We will continue to have community meetings to keep you updated. I've been working with the Lake County Office of Education and our local workforce, NPIC, to create a job fair next week. The job fair is September 30th between 2:30 and 5:30 at Kelseyville High School. With so many homes destroyed and or damaged, business may need to expand to keep up with demand. Businesses are asked to come ready to talk to those that want to work. Job seekers are asked to come ready with resumes and certifications in hand. The intention of this event is to allow employers to create a bank of applicants that are available to work when the time arrives. We've also been operating a local assistance center for the last several days between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. It's located at the Middletown Senior Center. Numerous local, state, and federal agencies are set up along with nonprofit organizations with the sole goal of helping Lake County residents start the recovery process. So far, we've served almost 600 families. We're proud of the work we're doing, and we're humbled that we're able to do that. I want to remind you, if you should need assistance or more information on any of the agencies that we're cooperating with, as well as our local agencies, you can get that information by calling 1-888-565-2787 or online. You can visit www.lakecountylac.com.
Our next speaker is Battalion Chief and Public Information Officer for Management, Team Management 3 from CAL FIRE, Mike Smith.
The fire size is held at 76,067 acres, and containment has risen to 90%. A few more than 2,400 firefighters continue to construct control lines, so we're focusing at this point on putting out those hot spots that are within the perimeter of the fire and ensuring that hazard trees have been mitigated and that this area is made safe for those returning home.
Our next speaker is Lake County Sheriff Brian Martin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I finally gotten some time to sit down and try to wrap my head around this devastation. Early on during the fire, I said that this was the worst disaster that Lake County has experienced, and I'd like to share with you some insights that I've made. We have an estimate of approximately 1,250 single-family dwellings that were destroyed during this fire. Using an average of 2.9 members per household, that means 3,675 people have possibly been displaced as a result of that. That represents 5.7% of the population of Lake County. When you compare that to a scale of a county the size of Los Angeles, that would mean over 550,000 people if this fire were to hit that county with the same ferociousness and violence. We are starting the recovery process. As Chief Smith said, We're getting a handle on this fire with 90% containment, and we hope to have this thing fully contained very shortly. With that, I'm proud to announce that we're going to have some openings in the next day. We're going to be lifting access restrictions to all areas of Cobb Mountain and the surrounding communities effective at 5 p.m. tomorrow. It is 5 p.m. on Saturday. There have been hundreds of phone calls coming in from people that want to get in, and as of 5 o'clock tomorrow, they will be able to. Please do not take this as a repopulation. For many, there won't be a repopulation for a long time as so many homes were lost. It is simply a lifting of the traffic restrictions. There are continued hazards in the area. There is still hazardous material, asbestos, smoldering trees, ash pits, and debris left behind from the fire. And anybody that enters is cautioned that they're doing so at their own risk because there are so many hazards present. Utility and cleanup crews will continue working in the area. So we would remind you that if you choose to return, be aware of your surroundings and make sure that you stay out of their way so that they can help restore our community as quickly as possible. For the areas of Cobb Mountain, there will be 2 points of distribution, also known as pods. Those will be located at the fire station in Loch Lomond and also the fire station in Middletown on Highway 175. The Lake County Office of Emergency Service is providing masks, gloves, and water to those returning to the areas free of charge. Thank you.
Dr. Karen Tate, Lake County Health Officer.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. My message on medical and health issues today is fairly short. It's time to encourage the patients who have attended clinics in Middletown and Hidden Valley Lake to resume care with their normal health care providers. The clinics are open, the pharmacies are open in that area, so we're ready to make that transition from our emergency services. We still, however, maintain the Medical Reserve Corps from Marin County at the Local Assistance Center in Middletown, as well as having a presence at the Twin Pines Shelter. They will stay as long as we need them there. We also have mental health professionals at those same 2 sites, and they are available from the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is important to take care of emotional health, eat regularly, and get plenty of sleep, and also to stay in touch with other people. As we enter into this period of recovery where people are trying to stabilize their situations for a longer haul ahead of them, it's likely to be a fairly difficult time for them. But we have some optimism as we start seeing the rebuilding and the recovery go further ahead that we will regain our optimism. We just want to get people through this tough transition, which we know is very difficult for many people at this time. Thank you.
And our final speaker is Ryan Arba. He's the Deputy Coastal Regional Administrator from the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services.
Thanks to everyone for their hard work and long hours as we continue to help Lake County and Valley Fire survivors. Cal OES continues to support these efforts. Our State Operations Center, Regional Operations Center, all remain activated. We continue to support the Lake County Emergency Operations Center, the Joint Information Center, and the Local Assistance Center located in Middletown. Staff and volunteers have come from all over the state in order to help. The fire is closer to full containment. However, as all of the speakers have said here today, the recovery work lies ahead of us. The resources made available by Governor Brown's state of emergency and the President's disaster declaration will all help with the recovery. The President's declaration makes federal funding available to affected individuals in Lake County. We're thankful to have the help and support of our federal partners at FEMA. Cal OES and its partners will continue to work together to support this county and help it recover. Thanks again to everyone that has been and continues to support the Valley Fire.
Besides our speakers, we also have Moak Simon, the Tribal Chair of Middletown Rancheria, and Scott DeLeon, the Lake County Public Works Director, Matt Perry, the Lake County Administrative Officer, and we have Martin Shield, who is the Mayor of Lakeport. So any questions can be directed at them. John?
I have 3 questions. The first one is regarding temporary housing. I understand that certain landowners in the Cobb area in particular have been approached to establish recreational vehicle parking in absent I don't know about other areas, perhaps.
We met this morning. We've had ongoing discussions with the owner of Hoburg's Resort. Hoburg's Resort was completely devastated by this fire. There are several property up there that was not there's no hazardous waste or concerns that would make for an opportunity for us to use for RV parking. And so we're working with them right now to build that plan. PG&E is occupying it right now. They should be out of there in 4 days. Maybe by the time PG&E is out of there, we can begin to develop that and have it ready for immediately for at least 100 sites and potentially up to 300 sites. We're also working with Jellystone Park. Up there they have several sites available that will be available to move into on Sunday. And we're continuing to work with landowners. We need to find out what the need is, but immediately that would meet a great need for us.
When you say immediately, I presume you mean after hazard mitigation, that some hazard mitigation will take place prior to...
Some of that property does not require hazard mitigation. We can move into it now. It needs sewer infrastructure, water, and PG&E. It has that infrastructure on it, but would have to be expanded into the area that is not does not need to be mitigated because of the hazard and the waste.
Is there any other areas that are getting anything like that in Middletown, for example?
There are areas in Middletown that we are using right now that we'll continue to use. Hidden Valley has a 55 spaces that they've allowed us to use, and Twin Pine Casino also has space available. I'm not sure about RV parking, but I know they have hotel space that they made available. And as you know, we're also using Canoctown Harbor Resort and Spa. It's given us 48 rooms with the potential for more if needed. There's a hotel on Cobb, the Eagle and Rose, that could be made available for several units. And there was another one that slips my mind right now. There are other opportunities. Calpine, we're working with Calpine right now at the Visitor Center to develop spaces there for their employees who were displaced because of this fire.
Thank you. I have a question that involves coming down and possibly Cal Fire as well. Dr. Tate, what are the specific health issues or concerns that people might have sifting through or disturbing the ash and debris?
Well, there are a number of substances that can be assumed to be in the ash, and in particular asbestos is one that's the most concerning, but there are also heavy metals and other byproducts of burnt plastic. And those substances, the main health risks are long-term, having to do with cancer risks. You know about mesothelioma and asbestos exposure. So it's along those lines. There are some other possibilities, but really the long-term cancer risks are the biggest ones. In the short run, just the irritant effect of breathing ash can provoke asthma attacks and cause nasal and eye irritation as well. But those are the relatively minor concerns as opposed to the long-term health concerns.
So people traveling in the area, walking the block and so on, disturbing these materials, what sort of precautionary measures would you recommend?
Well, we are recommending the dust masks, the filtering dust masks, especially the N95 sort of level of protection, which takes out very, very tiny particles. Lesser masks will be somewhat protective, but not to that degree. So we really recommend the N95 level protection that we are distributing.
Gloves, boots?
Yeah, it's best to avoid contact with the skin. If it does get on the skin, wash it off, but it's better to have protective gloves, long sleeves, long pants, and then be aware that that clothing can become, contaminated with this material. So rather than walking into the house with the clothing on, it's best to remove it and go straight into a washer before a person goes into their house.
Thank you. Mike, I was interested, the public has been asking us Were there any efforts that they yet to determine the cause of this fire? What might be the outlook for that?
Well, first, the short answer is yes. There have been CAL FIRE investigators on scene who arrived on scene soon after the reported phase of the fire. Those investigators continue to attempt to determine the cause, and I would caution that it may take months to find the exact cause of this fire.
Thank you. And Bo, can you tell me how things are going with the fire?
Yeah, Moke Simon, Tribal Chairman, Middletown Ranch and Wood. Yeah, things are going well. I think I just got the numbers texted over from Red Cross. We had over 100 people sleeping there last night. They served 700 meals. Last night they did 350 breakfasts. At this time, things are going good. They did get the animal shelter moved in, and we'll be there as long as we need to be. Obviously, you guys know we're not going anywhere, and we have our available spaces, at the need of the county and the people of Middletown, Cobb, and Anderson Springs. So things are going well, and we're going to go ahead and keep moving forward and help with the recovery all that we can.
And do you have additional space to go?
Well, at this time, what we have in our organization, we had 38 of our employees that lost their homes, 5 tribal members. They're currently in, we have 59 hotel rooms. When we get them all situated in there, which they are checking in today, most of them are able to come back. We've got those rooms available, and then once we get that number, we'll have a few rooms left that hopefully we can get fire survivors from Middletown into those homes or whoever else is needed. And so that's kind of our capacity at this point. We do have, and I will talk with Rob afterwards, we just purchased 52 acres right next to us. We also have the adjoining field where the dogs are, so we are open for conversation to see if there's anything that we can do to help house people. And we were not hit directly by the fire, it burned all around us, but there should be no mitigation issues there with helping us get temporary housing set up. And keeping in mind, the rains are coming, trying to get people somewhere where we'll be safe even during the El Nino that they say is on our way here in the next 60 to 90 days. So, yes.
I'm not sure who to answer this. Okay, go ahead.
First, we're trying to determine the need. Several people at the meeting last night indicated that they have travel trailers and RVs that they can live in right now. We have houses available that are being made available to fire survivors, as well as several hotel rooms. So we haven't gotten to a point where there's any indication that there's a need for any FEMA type housing at this point.
Supervisor Brown, Mark had just mentioned El Nino coming in, and whether community development has plans to mitigate flooding issues.
Flooding issues?
Runoff.
Well, okay, erosion and runoff, yes. Actually, the county's working with Cal OES and FEMA. That is one of the jobs of California Recycle, the company that's doing the mitigation for the cleanup. Cleanup and erosion control is part of their contract.
Well, not if they walk down the sidewalk, or if they walk down the street, drive down the street, there's nothing there. What is the danger to people who don't have their house?
Okay, the question that Jill asked me to address is what danger, if any, might there be if somebody's just walking down the sidewalk in an area that has been impacted, but where they're not right around a burned structure. It's probably minimal, but I think there's a word of caution there because it's going to be a gradient from no risk to some risk depending on how close they are to a burned structure and whether there's any ongoing disturbance of the ash from that burned structure. So in other words, if you're walking on a sidewalk that seems clean and fairly clear of a burned area, and a big truck goes by and drives through a bunch of ash on a lot that has burned, there's going to be some aerosolization of that ash for a distance. It will be less the further you are from it, but I think it's just important to take care to stay a very good long distance away from areas that the ash is actually being disturbed for some reason. But in areas that have been cleared quite thoroughly, then I would see very, very little risk associated with walking down those sidewalks. So I hope that's clear. It's not a very easy answer to give.
Sheriff Martin. I heard a report this morning from somebody up there that says it's been very quiet lately, and I wondered what the outlook is for law enforcement.
We're going to continue our patrols. We have law enforcement mutual aid agencies that have come in to help us. At times we were staffing upwards of 36 additional officers in the area. We've scaled that back. When we make a mutual aid request, it comes from neighboring communities, and as the request continues, we stretch out the request from agencies from farther away. We're going to continue with the mutual aid request for a week following the lifting of the access restrictions, and we're working on developing a long-term plan so that we can have 24-hour-a-day operations and patrol operations in the affected areas while the rebuilding process continues.
I want to add one last thing. We do have FEMA in town, and they are requesting, their key message is please register if you've suffered any damage or destruction. Please register. You can do that by calling 1-800-621-FEMA. So again, that number is 1-800-621-FEMA, which is 1-800-621-3362. Or you can go to their website, which is www.disasterassistance.gov, and you can register there, and so it's disasterassistance.gov. That's the first step, and they recommend that everyone register to see what kind of help is available to them. So thank you for coming today, and if you have questions, one-on-one questions, they'll be available for you in breakout sessions. Thank you.
Hey, Jill.
Yeah.
Should we verify with John too that last night they gave the hard date, November 23rd, because just that 60 days.